Hey, how's it going, everybody? Dutchman Games here, and today we're going to make the inventory system. This inventory system is going to be super simple, but it is going to be a long episode because it is going to be a little complex. That sounds counterintuitive, but it's a simple system that's easy to understand, but it's going to take a while to make it. Essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to have a menu where you have 6 items you can select and use. So for example, this potion, I can drink it, and then we get a notification that we did that, and something will happen, health, all that stuff. So just 6 slots, just like Warcraft 3, and we are going to have a system where we can walk over items and then pick up items, and they will show up in our inventory. And then it's also going to be so that if you pick up another item, it will take the other slot, and then eventually, if all the slots are taken, we cannot pick up any more items. So it's going to be a very simple system, but it is going to be made in such a way where it's kind of, for someone who's experienced in Unreal Engine, it's going to look very rudimentary, and that is because I want to make something that's easy to understand that you can tinker with. So you can adjust it, you can make it as big as you want, you can make it as complex as you want, and then you can also make it work better with structs and with all kinds of uh, techniques to make it a lot more smooth and better for general gameplay wise. So right now I'm just going to show you what it actually looks like. So in we're going to do everything in the inventory system itself. What I've done first, I'll show you guys, and then I will show you how to make it after. But first, let me show you how it works. So first of all, we have a simple inventory system. You press on I, and it will open the inventory. And in the inventory, it will just be a simple design system, with a box and with 6 buttons that have different meshes and with a close. And it will pause every time you click on it, and then it will unpause every time you leave it. We have 6 new variables. These 6 new variables, actually, this item exists variable can be deleted. We have 6 new variables, um, and these 6 new variables are our items essentially, and based on what the value is of the variable, that will be the kind of item that we have. So it could be uh, 1 to a million, but there could be a lot of different items in our game that way. And then uh, how it works in essence is we have these buttons, and the every event tick, so every tick, the game will look at all of the variables of the character, and it will say, okay, we have all these variables. What are the variables? And then it will go to a switch on int, and it will look at what the variable is, and based on which variable it is, it will change the style, so the texture, so to say, of the um, variable. So or of the button. So 0 will be nothing, but then, for example, lesser potion will be the 1 tick, right? The 1 on the variable of the item slot, which will be this potion. And then based on that, it will just adjust it like that. And then once this is all set up, we have uh, also a button system. So the moment you press on this button, so let's go down, let's go to the on-clicked event. It will basically say, all right, so we have all these options in this item slot, and this could be, this could be 1,000 options, for example, because that you need to have as many options here as you have items. And then the 0 will be nothing because that's the empty slot and nothing will happen. But the first one will be, for example, you drank a potion, and then it could heal your health or whatever. And so yeah, that's how it works. Super simple. The only downside of this whole system is that it's a lot of code, because for every single slot you need to make a separate brush identity. And if you have 100 items, this would be 100 lines, right? And then also for every use, you need to make a separate uh, system. And you can collapse this to a function, or you can make it smoother by adding structs and then using structs to pull data out of those structs instead of having these rudimentary lists. But I want to make a system that's easy to understand for a beginner, where it's basically just hard coded in, where you understand how the flow works. And that way you can adjust it, you can optimize it, you can do whatever you want. But this is surely something that if you have a full game, you want to optimize this as much as you can, because, for example, every event tick is not a good thing because it will take up a lot of energy for the project. So maybe it's better to have a function that every time you pick something up, it will actually load it and all that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, this system will work, and it will work really good. It's just very, it's hard coded. It's just there and not optimized. However, we're going to make this because I want to show you guys how you can do this. So yeah, so let's start with that right away. I'm not going to show you guys everything because, as you can see, it's a lot of work, but I'm going to show you how to make the basics. So first of all, let's make a new folder called inventory system. In the inventory system, you're going to make two things. You're going to make a w underscore inventory. So right click, user interface, widget blueprint. And then in the widget blueprint, you want to call this the inventory blueprint. And then once you have this blueprint, you want to make yourself an inventory. So the way you do this is you add a canvas panel right here, and you pull it into the inventory. And then you will make, well, this is just a little image, but you can do whatever you want for the base. Add a text, which is also just floating there, and then anchor it all to a single point, so it will all stay at the same location. You can use anchor right here in the right corner, add slot, and then make 6 buttons. So these are just buttons that I put here, and I put an image in, but honestly, this doesn't really matter because these images will be overwritten whenever we will actually use the system. And once you have all these 6 buttons in here, you want to add a little button that can be used to close it. So once you have all that set up, feel free to pause the video, and then you can make that. And then once that's all set up, we will continue. All right. So once you click on the close button, what will happen is it will pause the game. So you can just say set game paused, and it will unpause the game actually, because it pauses the game in the third person character. And then it will get, you need to say set mouse, and then context sensitive has to be off, and then set show mouse cursor, and then this has to be unticked, and then get player controller, and then you add a remove from parent, and this way it will remove the widget from parent. And then the get player controller is the wrong one, so context sensitive on, and then just say on, and then get player controller. There we go. All right. Now that that's done, what we have now is we need to go to the third person character, and we need to add 6 different item slots. So click on add variable, and you can add item slot, and do that 6 times. And once that's all made, you want to create the press button to open up the inventory system. So in this case, it will be input I So you actually need to kind of look for the I button, which is annoying, but it is the way it is. There we go. And then you want to say create widget inventory. And then you say add to viewport. And then you say set show mouse cursor. And then again you go into the context sensitive and you look for get player controller. And then you say set game paused to true. That's it. So, oh, and no, yeah, that's it. That's it. So now we have the third person ready because this is all we need. So third person character is ready. So we can actually compile this and just remove it. Make sure that all the item slots are on 0. And then you want to go to the inventory. And now we want to make the system where it looks through all the item slots. And then through the item slots, it will actually set the style for each of these systems. And this is actually quite a simple thing to do, because all you need to do is get the event tick, or it could be a custom event that every time you do something it triggers, but just keep the event tick for now. And then cast through the third person character with the player character. And then from that you pull out all the item slots. So the get item slot. And once you have all those pulled out, you go to the sequence. So you say get a sequence. What the sequence will do is it will run all these things in a sequence. So based on which item slot you have equipped, it will go through these. For example, it will look at item slot 1. It will go to switch on int, which basically goes through all the different possible integers inside of this slot. And then you can add pins right here. And then on all these pins, you want to add your items. So the reason I only have 8 is because I'm just going to run with 8 items for now. I got only 4 set up, but it's because this is quite a lot of work to do, so I didn't want to make a 4-hour-long video making all these ints. But so I have 4 now, and then based on these, you can have the brush change in each button slot, right? Because all the buttons are variables, and these are the buttons, right? So we made these buttons. So inf1, inf2, inf3, inf4, they're right here. Inf1, inf2, inf3, inf4. So what you want to do is you want to pull from which item is which. So maybe have a little list on which item, which code, so which integer corresponds to which item. So for me, item 0 equals no item, item 1 equals a lesser potion, item 2 equals a lesser mana potion, and so forth, right? You can also maybe have an item that gives you stats until you use it or something like that. You can play with it the way you want. Or you can make items that you cannot use but you can drop, right? You can do whatever you want. But in this case, item 0 is nothing. So go out and type in set style. Oh, my bad. First grab inf1 get set style. This way it will set the style. And then, because you don't have these variables yet, you can just right click, promote the variable, and then it will be called in style. And then if you go to the details panel and compile, you can actually change the textures right here. So in this case, it's the 127 gray, and that's just how we will do that. Now, I've already set this up, of course, because I could just grab the empty, put it in the in style, and now if the variable item slot 1 is 0, which will be at the start, it will go to switch on int. From the 0, it will go to set style, and then the style will be the 0 style. And then here it will be the button 1. And all of these will be for button 1, and all of these will be for button 2, and all of these will be for button 3, button 4, button 5, and button 6. And these will all correspond with item slot 1, item slot 2, item slot 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now I have the item on clicked event. Now let's say we click this button. What will happen? We want the button to use the item and remove the item. So what will happen is we click on the button. It will cast to the play character. So you can make that. So click on button, cast to play character. It will look through the first item slot because it's only that button, right? And then again, it will look through all of the different options, all of the different variable options. So it could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3. And that's why it's an integer, not a float, because a float is a decimal one, right? So that could be 1.115 or something. So that's going to be impossible to do. But in this case, it's just going to be a 0, 1, or 2, or 3, or 4, or whatever. And then based on that, it's going to do something. So it's going to empty item slot 0, which in turn will mean that it will show us the empty item slot immediately because it's an even tick. And then it will give us a notification that I drank the potion. And then behind here, we could say, for example, set health, set current health, and then +5 or +10, and then it could be a consumable, right? So that's how that works. And you can do that for everything. And then naturally, you will have to, if you want, for example, this button, the button, the second button to work, you need to go to an on-clicked, and you need to go to cast to third person character, and you need to get player character, and then you need to get item slot 2, and then switch on int, and then you need to make a couple of pins, as many as you have items, which I still have to think about and make and all that stuff. And then you just have to copy this one on the top, except now, of course, it will set item slot 2 to 0 instead of set item slot 1, because now we're at item slot 2. And then that will work as well. And actually, this has to be on 1 because 0 doesn't do anything, right? So it can be kind of tricky. So now, if we want to pick up these 2 items, and we go to the inventory, and we click on the second one, we will drink the potion, we get HP back, make a sound, whatever, and then the item will become nothing. And then just with this one. All right. So that's how that works. Now we need to be able to pick up items, or maybe buy items, or do all that stuff, right? And that's the third part of this puzzle, essentially, right? So that is actually the most complex part. So we now know how to get the brushes for the items so they all make sense. So if we pick up a potion, we actually have a potion in our inventory and all that stuff. And now we know what happens when we click on the buttons and how we can dictate what kind of item or what kind of item will be used and what kind of thing will happen if you use that item. But now we need to know what happens if I walk over the item and pick it up, or if I maybe open up a chest and you can click on something and you get it, or what if you go to a store and you buy something, this will all work that way. So this actually, it looks complex. It's actually really simple as well. And this actually doesn't need that much work, right? So upon actor begin overlap. So this is actually a blueprint, right? So this blueprint will be, you can just make a blueprint like this. So go to the inventory system, go to blueprint class, actor, and then just call it BP item, right? And then in that BP item, what you want to do is you want to make a static mesh so that you have something to show it for. So what I like to do is like get a like bag model and then like add some like stars to it or something and then make it spin. So it's like, oh, it's a item you can pick up or whatever. And then a box collision. And then based on the box collision, so you want to go down and you can do an on component begin overlap, or you can just say an event actor begin overlap. So event actor begin overlap. And then from there, you want to cast to the main character, so to your third person character. You want to get all the items again. And then from here, all that we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, if item slot 1 is 0, if that is true, create a item in that slot. So set that item slot to the variable that's in the BP item, which is called item for pickup, which in this case is 1. You need to click on this public variable so you can actually change that in the map. So let's say we click this, we can actually change it right here. So we can make it 2, 3, 4, and then we can change the text as well. So we can say 2, and then we can say the item has been picked up, it's a potion, or you've picked up a potion, you picked up this, you picked up that. So we can change that. So now it changes the item slot, which in turn in the inventory will change the mesh or the brush, and it will also just change what you have in your character. And then it will get this text, it will make a camera sound, or it will make a sound, and it will destroy the actor. So the actor's gone. So just do this once. You can pick up this item, actor's gone, you have a new item, and you have a notification. So let's say it is not 0, right? Because this checks if it's 0. Maybe it's 1, maybe it's 2. That means there's already an item in there, in item slot 1. If that is the case, then it will say, okay, let's go to item slot 2. And we'll repeat that process. And if there's also already something in item slot 2, so if it's above 0, then because 0 is nothing, right? Then we'll go to 3, then we'll go to 4, then we'll go to 5. And then if we're at the end, so if we're at 6, we'll make a notification again. Well, the notification. And we say, the inventory is full, and nothing will happen. It will not disappear. Nothing will happen. So, let's test that. So let's make 6 items, and then 7. So what should happen is right now I have 0 items in my inventory, as you can see. I pick up all these items, and now it's full. And now I want to pick up this one. Your inventory is full. It doesn't want to pick it up because I don't have space in my inventory. If I empty this one, for example, the 4th, that doesn't work because I didn't set up the clickables. If I empty the second one, you drank the potion, and I pick this up, it will be in my second slot. And that's our basic inventory system. And you can make this as complex as you want. We can, for example, add little crosses to the side where you can delete the item, or maybe drop the item, or you can make a shop where you can buy items. You can maybe sell items. If you're in the shop, you click on them. If you're in the shop, add gold and remove the item. Set the item to 0. You can make this as complex as you want. And I really hope that you guys understand this system, because it's a super simple system. It just takes a while to make because there's so many different things you have to type in, and it's a lot of work, but it's a very simple system that will work really well. And you don't need crazy struts, you don't need or structs, you don't need crazy systems, complex things that are hard to make and hard to fix. This is just very rudimentary and very basic. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry I couldn't show you guys the making of, because it would just take too long. it's not done. You know, I'm going after this, after I'm done filming this video, I'm going to actually finish it because it's not done. I'm going to make, I think, maybe 20 items or something. So you have to imagine that I have to make 20 out of every single one of these, right? And I have to make 20 of these variables, and um, you know, I have to make so many different uh, um, items. Actually, in the item, nothing changes, but in the inventory, a lot changes because also for this, you know, I have to be 20 options. You know, if something happens. So obviously, for a lot of slots, this doesn't work. Let's say you have 30 slots. That means you need to make 30 of these and 30 of these, and you know, it's just going to be a lot of work. And also, one of the downside of this system is you can't easily say, okay, I want this item in that slot, because this is basically predetermined, you know. So um, you can maybe remove items, you know, and there's logic where you can say I want this item there, but that's going to be very complex. And obviously, we want to keep this super simple for you guys so you can actually make and finish your RPG game. So hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. It was a little different than usual because usually I start and I make it and you guys see how I make it. In this case, I kind of made it beforehand because I knew it was going to take a lot of time and I didn't want to waste your guys' time. So hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a comment, like if you did, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And don't forget to subscribe. Cheers.